What up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Matt White, and today I'm going to give you my thoughts on the Martin Scorsese film called Killers of the Flower Moon, which this is a passion project that Scorsese wanted to get this movie made for a long time. He was able to finance the film, and it was a $200 million budget, which is insane that Apple TV was able to let him do that. And this was originally supposed to go to Apple TV Plus on a streaming service and let this be in select theaters. But then we later got a proper theatrical run, and this movie is like 3.5 hours long, which is crazy. This is like his second, this is like the longest movie since The Irishman. Which, don't get me wrong, I don't mind longer movies if we have the great length and if it's like the pace is on point and it's a proper way to tell the story. Then that's all that matters to me, because having longer movies or having shorter movies doesn't make it better or for worse. As long as it's the right length and you're invested with the story and the characters and the pacing's on point, then that's all that matters. Now, going into Killers of the Flower Moon, it's taking place in the 1920s, where we see the Osage family is making a fortune off of oil, of every oil that they find on their land, and they're being paid off by the oil company. We later cut to Leonardo DiCaprio's character coming home from the war during World War One. He comes and works for his uncle, played by Robert De Niro, and he works as a taxi cab driver, and he drives around people around in the county, and it's taking place in Osage County, Oklahoma. And we see that he comes across with Lady Gladstone's character, who is part of the Osage tribe, and they fall in love and they get married. And later we find out that there's a lot of the family that are being murdered left and right center. But little do they know that the public knows that they think they're being died off by natural causes of illness, or making it look like a suicide. But then we later find out that DiCaprio's character and De Niro's character are the ones pulling all the strings, especially De Niro's character, who is the king of the Osage County, who is the one who's providing those families for any help, like medicine, money, whatever. But he's the one who's pulling all the strings, and DiCaprio is being caught in the middle of it, and he's actually doing all doing all of his dirty work for him and earning the family's trust. And De Niro's character is the biggest piece of crap character out of everyone throughout the whole movie. He pretends that he cares about the family, but little do we know that he does not care. He just wants to sponge off of them, and hopefully that they die off so that they can take their oil money from them and take their land from them, so they can take control back of everything. And that is horrible for to see this come. And the body count is absolutely intense. It's very difficult to watch these family get murdered, and it's crazy as hell. I thought DiCaprio's performance is powerhouse. I thought he delivered his performance very well. I don't know yet, but this might be my favorite of his performance so far. I'm not sure yet, because so far that my favorite of his performance was his film that he did a few years back called The Revenant. And I thought that the chemistry between Lady Gladstone and DiCaprio were absolutely outstanding. I thought Lady Gladstone delivered a powerhouse performance. I thought it's definitely an Academy level acting, in my opinion. And I'm not the only one. A lot of people tend to agree with me on that. And De Niro's character, his performance is absolutely incredible. He can do no wrong. It's De Niro. For me, my biggest criticism of this film is that we focus too much on DiCaprio's character and De Niro a little bit more. I feel like they were the center point of the story, and not enough story with the Osage family, and especially Lady Gladstone, which, don't get me wrong, she bring a lot of emotional performance in that movie. I mean, without her, this movie would probably not have worked. But I feel like she kind of got a little sidelined from the majority of the film. I feel like she didn't feel like the main character. She almost felt like the supporting character, in my opinion. And I wouldn't be surprised if she gets a leading actress nomination, for an Oscar role. But I prefer she would have gotten nominated for the supporting role, because she did not really feel like the main character to me. And I feel like that they not feel like they didn't really focus enough on the native the Osage Native tribe. They feel like they didn't get enough screen time. And I feel like with De Niro's character and DiCaprio's character's role should have been like the reverse. I feel like they should have been the FBI characters, the one who's doing all the investigating of the murders, because we see Lady Gladstone, who's now finding the suspicious that her family is getting murdered. She hires the private investigators, and they hire the feds to come and do an investigation, which that doesn't happen until the second half of the film, because we don't see enough of them on screen, which I felt like they should have had a little bit more screen time. And like I said before, I thought DiCaprio and De Niro should have played the feds instead, because I feel like that they focus a little bit more on the two of them doing all the murders. I get why they did it, but I feel like they didn't really do it justice, in my opinion. And the movie felt a little bit too long. I feel like it didn't need to be spread out 3.5 hour movie. And because I felt there were parts of it that I felt the length that it could have been trimmed down. But one of the highlights of the movie is that I thought the cinematography was definitely one of the big wins. I thought it was very well shot that was shot in Oklahoma. I love the way they done it. The music score delivered, and like I said, the performances of the entire cast, especially DiCaprio, Gladstone, and De Niro, were powerhouse. And another negative that I will say that I thought Brendan Fraser in this movie, who's playing De Niro's attorney, I thought he didn't really get a lot of screen time. I felt like he only had like two small scenes throughout the whole movie. And they hyped it up like he's going to be in the film a lot more, but apparently no, he's only in two small scenes. So basically, he only had a cameo role, which that was a big disappointment. You could have hired any other actor to play De Niro's attorney, but instead, you got an Academy Award winning actor like Brendan Fraser, which I think he's phenomenal, but I feel like he should have got a lot more screen time in this movie, which was a little disappointing. Overall, this was one of the better Scorsese films I've seen in a long time. I think this is way better than The Irishman, which The Irishman is my least favorite of this movie, as I didn't love it as much as many people did. But this is definitely a good film that it was a necessary watch during this tackling the whole subject matter. There's still some things that I wish they could have done differently, and there were some things that there was a little bit of a missed opportunity here and there, but I still think it was a really good film. I don't think it was a movie that is going to be like a 10 out of 10 for me, and it's not going to end up being in my top 5 or top 10 movies of the year. And I might watch this movie one more time when it comes out on streaming, but it's not a movie that I would watch over and over again. I don't find this movie to be the most rewatchability, in my opinion, but it's still a movie that I encourage you to go out and see this movie in the theater at least one time. And just remember that this movie is 3.5 hours long. Some people might feel the length, and some people might not. I still think the pacing was still on point. Even though there were some slow moments that kind of dragged on a little bit, especially in the middle part of the film. But it's a movie I still encourage you to go out and see. And now, what did you think of this movie? Did you really love Killers of the Flower Moon? Did you love it as many critics have said it is? Did it live up to your expectations? Or were you someone out there that thought that this movie just wasn't made for you and you were kind of disappointed? And don't get me wrong, I know that this movie's probably not going to be made for everybody and it's going to be a tough movie to watch. Jump down in the comment section below, and because I would love to hear your opinion. And if you want to follow my social media platforms, the link tree will be down in the description down below, where you can follow my social media platforms on there and go and subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate your support. If you like this video, hit the like button. I would really appreciate it. And I hope you guys have a great day, great evening, wherever you're from. And I hope you guys take care.